Hello, this is Summer Smith Chess Club, Junior Hour Basics in 5 minutes or so. This video is the summary of a session we had in June 2020 on the kings. When watching the video, you can stop at any time you want to understand the new position and try to find the solution of a problem yourself. This is the last session on chess pieces. Is the king a piece or is it a king? The engines do not give a value to the kings, like 1 for the pawns or 9 for the queens. But still, without the kings, all is nothing. Black is much better when you count the engine numbers 9 for the queen, 5 for the rooks, etc. But here, the king is checkmated, the black king. The kings are especially vulnerable in the openings, and we will see a few examples. Example 1 shows a checkmate where black won the piece, but white wins the king, completely blocked by the own pieces. Example number 2. This is not a closed center, it's an open center. And in the open center, discover check, 2 pieces check, the king can't escape, and it's checkmate. Example 3, very famous, the legal mate, named after the player of the white pieces in this case. Check on f7, king moves to e7, knight d5, check and mate. White sacrificed the queen for this checkmate. And the 4th example. Now, flipping the board, sorry, because we want to see checkmate from the winning side. The white king already out in the open, drawn further closer to the white black's pieces. Final drawing by the bishop sacrifice and checkmate. Because the kings can so easily be attacked in the center of the board, they usually quickly move behind the protective pawns on the edge of the board, like white's king here in this example, by castling. Even there, they are not safe, as we have already seen in many sessions before. Here, I just show 2 examples of attacks against the castled king sides. Now here, white takes on g4. Bad idea, because now, especially after knight e5, black has an open h-file and will checkmate on h1 or h2. And even the freeing move f3 doesn't help because g3 blocks the escape path via f2, so checkmate on h1 will follow. And in the next game, very typical sacrifices of pieces against the black king side. Knight f6 check, taken knight f6 takes, threatens mate on g4. But of course, knight g6 could have been prevented this. Therefore, the queen move to take it out of the pin. But bishop h7 check, sacrifice, queen h5 comes in, and queen h8 checkmate. More as a curiosity, I want to show 2 examples where castling is in fact not a defensive, but an attacking move, and even the only move which directly checkmates the opponent's king. Now, a very well-known sacrifice on f6, drawing the king into the open, closer to the white territory, white terrain, check on d3, and now checkmate by short castling. Here the king was drawn to the first rank of white, but doesn't require always to draw the king close to the castling opponent's king. Here we see that even from far away, the castling can checkmate the opponent's king. Still, in the middle game, the king is usually the one which needs to be protected and which does not attack in itself. I show just a few exceptions where the king was instrumental in the mating attack. So he had to storm forward. First, to open the path, king comes forward, further forward, and black resigned because of mate following bishop g6, e7, and e8 queen. Now this one. First, white is under attack, is checked by black. White goes forward with the king, further forward. And now the way is free for the white king to attack and mate on g7 by queen is not possible to be prevented. And a final example of an attacking king in the middle game, famous game between Nigel Short and Jan Timman, 1991, king h2. Not necessarily the best move, but definitely the most beautiful move. Free road on the dark squares, and white resigned because black resigned because either white is allowed to go to h6 and checkmate on g7 will follow, or preventing by king h7, then rook f7 takes on f7, queen f7, king h8, king h6 would lead to the same result. The real power of the king comes out in the endgame. Most endgames, in fact, cannot be won without the help of the king. And very often, the king is the most active piece on the board. Look here. The rooks have no way to enter the opponent's position. Here it is the king, the white king, which is decisive, moving all the way from the king side to the queen side. On the queen side, there are open gaps, the light squares. Of course, they need further moves to be cracked open, but it will happen. Always the white king there, and that's not the end yet. Coming forward. And again forward. And black resigned. This was a famous win of the former world champion Vera Menchik, women's world champion. Now, just one more example of Anatoly Karpov winning against Bent Larsen. Anatoly Karpov, very, very strong in end games. Difficult position in this game as black to win, even though queen up, but white always threatening to promote the one remaining pawn here. And here also it's the king which broke up the white fortress. White has a kind of fortress, but a fortress is defined also by not allowing the opponent's king to enter the position. And that's exactly what happened in this game, even at the sacrifice of a pawn. Black's king moved forward. Queen alone cannot win against the rook. Not here, where the rook is defended by own pawns. This is a near fortress, but the king enters and takes a lot of maneuvering, but ultimately the patient king decides the game. You see how the king comes closer and closer, and now this is the end. Next move will be Queen G1 mate, and the king was instrumental to move all the way from G8 to F1.